Good
Good
day,
day,
ma'am.
ma'am. May I request everybody to stand and let us pray. Iris, please lead the prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and the opportunity to learn. Aid our minds and hearts as we study together. Grant us wisdom, understanding, and patience. In Jesus' name, amen.
Before you take your seat, can you pick up the pieces of trash under your chair and check for a while? You may now take your seat.
Thank you.
Again, good day, class. Welcome to another day of learning opportunities. How are you today?
Very good, ma'am.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now, let us have first the attendance. Actually, I prepared something fun and exciting roll call for you, but since we're lack of time, we are going to do it next meeting. But for now, Miss Secretary, who are the absentees for today?
None, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, class, last meeting I gave you an assignment. Please pass it forward and I'll be checking it after class. So before we proceed to our new lesson, let us have first a recap. Last meeting, we have tackled about the changes in the effects on the changing the values of A, H, and K, and the equation Y was A multiplied by open quantity X minus H plus quantity raised to 2 plus K on a quadratic function on its graph. So now, are you familiar with the flow machine?
Yes, ma'am.
Then if that's the case, let us proceed with a recap using a claw machine. So I have here a PowerPoint presentation presenting a toy claw machine. So all you need to do is to grab a box from the machine, and within each box, there is a question about our previous lesson. So in 10 seconds, you need to answer. So now I will call 2 students to play and give us an insight about our previous topic. Okay, who wants to try? Okay, Joshua, be the first.
Ma'am, how to pronounce?
From here. Then you're going to put the arrow here and click it.
What's the other?
So read the question. Question first.
How does the value of h affect the equation y equals a open parenthesis x minus h close parenthesis raised to 2 plus k? So the value of h in the equation y equals x, a times the quantity of open parenthesis x minus h close parenthesis raised to 2 plus k determines the horizontal shape of the parabola, moving its h units to the right if the h is greater than, and h units in the left if h is less than 0.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joshua. And now for our next student who will give us an insight about our previous lesson, Miss Iris. Please come forward. Okay, just make this go down. Then you will now take your box. Read the question.
So what is the effect of the value of A in the equation y is equal to the quantity of x minus h raised to 2 plus k? So the value of A in the equation A, the quantity of x minus h raised to 2 plus k determines the width and direction of the parabola.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Iris. So, perfect. All of your answers are correct. Give yourselves a round of applause. So now, before we proceed to our new lesson, let us have a game. So this game is called Factoring Frenzy. So this game was made to develop and reinforce your ability to factorize quadratic equation accurately and efficiently in a fun, exciting environment. So, I will divide you into two groups. So, this side will be the group 1 and the other side will be the group 2. So, here are the mechanics on how are we going to play this game. Okay, Joshua, can you read the mechanics of the game?
Factoring fancy. How to play. Each team starts with the first equation. One team member solves it and submits their solutions for verification. If correct, the facilitator provides the next equation. If incorrect, the team must revise their work. Team members must take turns solving equation. And the last, the team with the most correct solutions or answers at the end of a time limit wins.
Okay, thank you, Joshua. So now I want you all to arrange your chair on the side and form a line at the center. Okay, so here's what are we going to do. So as the first one in front, you are going to be the first one to solve the equation. So I will give you an equation. So after you will factorize each equation, and after solving, you will pass it to me for verification. If it is correct, then the person next to you may proceed on the next equation. If it is incorrect, then you will revise your answer. So, for your first equation, so I will give you 3 minutes. So the group with the most correct solution after 3 minutes will win the game. Cut.
Ano gagawin?
Yeah, play. So congratulations team. So our winning team is the group 2. Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. Cut. Okay, did you enjoy class?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
that's great. Thank you for your active participation. I hope you find it fun. So for the group 2, here is your prize.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So, before we move on to our new lesson, let me show you first the objectives that should be attained at the end of our discussion. So here are the objectives. Okay, Miss Iris, please read the first objective.
So, identify whether a given table of values represents a quadratic function based on the second difference.
Okay, for the next objective, please read Joshua.
Substitute table of values into the general quadratic equation to solve for coefficients.
And for the last objective, please read in chorus.
Value the importance of precision and attention to detail in deriving equations.
Okay, thank you. Before going through our discussion, it is a must that you know how to identify if a given table of values represent a function or not. So how will you know if a table of values represent a function? So now, let's have an activity called second difference. We will use it to identify whether a given table of values represent a quadratic function. So, let's study this example. So we have here a set of table of values. As you can see, we have the values of x which are negative 3, 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. And for the values of y, we have 13, 7, 5, 7, and 13. So how can we find the second difference? So when we say difference, it is the answer when you subtract the subtrahend from the minuend. So, of course, before we get the second difference, we need to get first the first difference. So how can we get the first difference? We will subtract the values of y from each other. So let's start. So we have 13. 13 minus 7, we have the answer of 6. 7 minus 5, we have positive 2. 5 minus 7, we have negative 2. And 7 minus 13, we have negative 6. So since we already get the first difference, we are now going to proceed with the second difference. So to find the first difference, again we are going to subtract the answers from the first difference with each other. So we have 6 minus 2, we have positive 4, 2 minus negative 2, we have positive 4, and negative 2 minus negative 6, we have positive 4. So we can confirm that it is a second difference when we get an equal answer. So for the second difference, we get the all answer of 4. Now, since we're done with the example, we are going to proceed with the activity. So on this activity, you will be graded according to the rubrics. But first, let me group you into two, the same group as earlier. This side will be the group 1 and on this side will be the group 2. So you may now proceed to your respective groups. Okay. So here are the rubrics. Let me read it for you. So for the rubrics for group activity, we have the criteria. Accuracy, you get 5 points if all answers are correct. Satisfactory, 4 points if some answers are not correct. And fair, or 3 points if all answers are not correct. For the presentation, 5 points if the presentation was clear. 4 points if the presentation is not that clear. And 3 points if the presentation is not clear. And for the promptness, 5 points if finished ahead of time, 4 points if finished on time, and 3 points if did not finish on time. So, you will be given a set of table of values, and all you need to do is to identify whether a set of table of values is quadratic or not by showing your solution. So the solution I am looking for is the solution I gave you on the first example earlier. So here are the your markers. Pens up. Are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Then let's proceed with the presentation. Okay, please post your answers on the board. Okay, group 1, please present your work. Okay, thank you, group 1. And group 2, please present your work. Thank you, group 2. Now, let us check your work. So for the accuracy, okay, all answers are correct. So all of you got 5 points. And for the presentation, the group 2 got 4 points since the presentation is not that clear. And for the group 1, they got 5 points since their presentation was clear. And for the promptness, so the group 2 finished ahead of time. They got 5 points. And for the group 1, they got 4 points since they just finished on time. So overall, the group 1 got 5, 4, and 4. They got 13 points. And for the group 2, they got 14 points. So the group 2 got the highest score. Let's give them a round of applause. The activity I have given you. Do you already have an idea on what will be our topic for today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what will be our topic for today? Yes, Miss Iris?
So I think our lesson for today will be all about the equation of quadratic functions given a table of
So, do you already have an idea on what will be the definition of function? Joshua, what do you think is a function?
A function is a relation wherein every element of the domain corresponds with exactly one element of the range.
Okay, perfect. How about quadratic function? Again, Joshua.
A quadratic function is a type of polynomial function that has the highest degree of 2, meaning the highest variable on string.
Excellent. All of your answers are correct. So our topic for today is all about equation of quadratic function given a table of values. But first, let us define what is a function. So it says here that function is a relation wherein every element of the domain corresponds with exactly one element of the range. So when we say domain, it is the possible values of x, while the range, it represents the possible values of y. Now let us proceed with the quadratic function. So what is a quadratic function? Kindly read, Iris.
So quadratic function is a function in the form of y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a should not be equal to 0.
So, it says here that quadratic function is in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, wherein the a, b, and c are all real numbers. But we should bear in mind that a could be both positive and negative but should not be equal to 0, while b and c could be both positive or negative and be equal to 0. So, here, our ax squared represents the quadratic term, bx, linear term, and c, the constant term. So, given a quadratic equation, a table of values can easily be formed by giving a values of x and solving for the values of y by simply substituting the values of x with the equation. So let's study this example. So I have here an equation y equals x squared minus 6x minus 3. And for the table of values, I have the values of x, which are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we are going to find the values of y. So for the first value, we have x equals 0. So we are going to multiply substitute the value 0 to the equation y equals x squared minus 6x minus 3 to find the value of y. So x will become 0 minus 6 multiplied by 0 minus 3. So 0 squared, of course, it will be 0. Very good. Minus 6 multiplied by 0?
0.
Very good. And just copy the constant, which is negative 3. So since we have the 0, just cancel, and we will get an answer of y equals negative 3. So for the first value of x, which is 0, so the equivalent value of y is equals to negative 3. So for the next value of x, who wants to try? Yes, Joshua? So for the next value of x, which is x equals 1, we have the value of y equals 4. Thank you, Joshua. Let's give Joshua a round of applause. value of x, which is x equals 0. Who wants to solve for the value of y? Yes, Iris? Okay, very good. Let's give Iris a round of applause. And for our next example, so we have the equation y equals negative x squared minus 2x minus 1. And for the table of values, we have the values of x which are negative 1, 0, and 1, 2, 3. So for the first example, which is x equals negative 1, who wants to solve for the value of y? Yes, Joshua? Please come forward.
Ma'am, to solve ako sa word.
Yes. Okay, very good, Joshua. So for the first value of x, which is equal to negative 1, we got an answer for the y equals 0. So, thank you. Since we already have an answer for the values of y, for the values of x which are negative 1, 0, and 1, 2, now let's proceed with the value of x which is 3. So now, who wants to substitute the value of x equals to 3 to the equation given? Yes, Iris, please come forward and solve it on the board. Can you write it on the table? Thank you, Ms. Iris. Okay, you all did great. So since given the values of x, which are negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, we already got the answer of y. We already got the values rather. The values of y which are 0, negative 1, negative 4, negative 9, and negative 16 based on the equation I gave you, which is y equals negative x squared minus 2x minus 1. Give yourselves a round of applause. However, you can also reverse the process if you want to know the equation that represents the set of table of values. So this might be complicated, but it is a very essential one. Okay. If you are given a set of table of values, you can identify the equation by simply creating a system of linear equation in 3 unknowns using 4 steps. So now, here are the steps on finding the equation that represents the function. So, Iris, please read number 1 and number 2.
So first is select 3 ordered pairs. Then the second one is substitute each ordered pair into the general form. So y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c.
Okay, thank you. So for the number 3 and 4, please read Joshua.
Solve for the values of a, b, and c of the system of linear equations. Number 4, substitute the values of a, b, and c to the general form.
Okay, now let us have an example. So we have the example number 1. So for the example number 1, we have values of x which are negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and for the values of y, we have 0, negative 1, negative 4, negative 9, and negative 16. So, following the 4 steps, it says here that first, let's select 3 ordered pairs. So, for the ordered pairs, let's have negative 1 and 0 for the first ordered pair. Next, 0, negative 1, and for the third, let's have 1, negative 4. So now, for the next step, let's substitute each ordered pair into the general form, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's use the first ordered pair. So we have 0 equals a multiplied by negative 1 raised to 2 plus b multiplied by negative 1, and for the last term, let's just copy the c. So for our next ordered pair, we will have negative 1 equals a multiplied by 0 plus raised to 2 plus b multiplied by 0 and plus copy the constant. So let's have plus c. And for our third equation, we'll have negative 4 equals a multiplied by 1 raised to 2 plus b multiplied by 1 and copy the constant. So now, we already have the 3 equation. So what are we gonna do next? So for the next step, solve for the values of a, b, and c of the system of linear equation. So this 3 equation is called system of linear equation in 3 unknowns, since we are looking for the 3 unknowns which are the a, b, and c. So, from the equation 2, we already have the value of c, which is c equals negative 1. So, how did we get it? So, since the values of x here are 0, then we will just cancel them. So, the remaining are c and negative 1. So the value of c will become negative 1. Since we already have the answer c equals negative 1, we are now going to proceed on the next equation. So the value of c equals negative 1 will be substituted to the first equation. So we have first equation 0 equals A minus B plus open quantity minus 1 closed quantity. So let's solve this one. 0 equals A minus B minus 1. So let's assume that we will have a value of B which is A minus 1. Now that we already have the value of C which is equals to negative 1 and a value of B which is equals to A minus 1, we are going to substitute these values to the third equation. So for the third equation, we have negative 4 equals A plus, so our value of B is equals to A minus 1. So it will become open quantity A minus 1 closed quantity multiplied by 1. So then for the C we have negative 1. So plus open quantity negative 1 closed quantity. So let's solve this one. So we get negative 4 equals A plus open quantity A minus 1 closed quantity multiplied by open quantity 1 closed quantity plus open quantity negative 1 and closed quantity. So let's solve. Negative 4 equals A, then A minus 1 multiplied by 1 will become A minus, it will remain as A minus 1 minus, because it is positive times negative, it will become negative. So minus 1. So negative 4 equals 2A, then plus, so we'll have negative 4 equals 2A minus 2. So now negative 4 equals 2A, then the negative, we will transpose the negative 2 on the left side. So it will become negative 4 plus 2. Since we transpose the negative 2, its sign will change to positive, equals 2A. So we have negative 2 equals 2A. Then now let's divide both sides by positive 2. So negative 2 divided by positive 2, we have negative 1 equals cancel, then A. So now we already have the value of A which is equals to negative 1. Now we will substitute this value of A to the fourth equation we made earlier, which is the B equals A minus 1. So it will become B equals open quantity negative 1 closed quantity minus 1. So B equals negative 1 minus negative 1. So we'll have B equals negative 1 minus 1. So we'll get an answer of negative 2. So now we already have the values of A, B, and C, on which we have A equals negative 1, B equals negative 2, and C equals negative 1. Since we already have the values of A, B, and C, let us proceed with the last step. So we have the fourth step, we have substitute the values of A, B, and C to the general form. So we have a general form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So for the value of A, we have negative 1, 1x squared plus, we have, for the value of B, we have negative 2 So it will become plus open quantity negative 2x. So for the value of c, we have negative 1. So plus open quantity negative 1, close quantity. Then let's solve. Y equals, so since it's negative 1x squared, we will just put negative x squared plus open quantity negative 2, close quantity. So we'll multiply positive times negative. We have negative. So it will become negative 2x. And for the constant, for the last term, we'll have positive times negative. Negative. So we'll get negative 1. So for the first ordered pair, we get y equals negative x squared minus 2x minus 1. So, since we're done with the first example, now we will have the second example. So, who wants to try on the board? Okay, Mr. Joshua, please come forward.
Number 1 lang po.
We solve for the full equation. Okay, thank you, Mr. Joshua. Can you explain your work?
So,
Good.
was 8.
So, thank you, Mr. Joshua. Please sit down. So, for our example number 2, we have an equation of... Cut down. So, for the example number 2, we got an equation of y equals 2x squared plus x plus 6. So, let's give Joshua a round of applause. So, now, today we explored about quadratic function given the table of values. So, we have tackled about determining the quadratic function and substituting the table of values into the general quadratic equation. Now, why is second difference always constant in the quadratic function? Does this property help you identify the degree and nature of a function in a real-world scenarios? Yes, Iris?
So the second difference is always constant in a quadratic function because the rate of change of the first difference between consecutive y values is uniform. So reflecting the parabolic shape of the graph.
Thank you, Miss Iris. Now, how can you analyze the relationship between the x values and y values to determine the type of a function? So, what evidence give an evidence that supports your conclusion. Yes, Joshua?
To analyze the relationship between the x values and y values, examine the difference between consecutive y values. If the first differences are not constant, but the second differences are constant, the function is quadratic. The evidence supporting this conclusion comes from the pattern of changes in the y values, which indicates a second degree polynomial with the second difference remain consistent.
Thank you, Joshua. Okay, learners, now that you are equipped with knowledge on determining the equation of quadratic function given a table of values, it's about time to know what you can do. So now, let's have a sip. So, please get 1/2 crosswise. Okay, Joshua, please read the direction.
Direction. Identify the equation that represents the quadratic function in the given table of values.
So I will give you 10 minutes to solve. Okay, pens up. Please pass your paper. Okay, thank you. Now, since all of you got a high score, let's proceed with a quiz. So are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So for our quiz, so let's proceed with your quiz. So, get one and pass. I will give you 15 minutes for your quiz. Okay, time's up. Please pass your papers forward and I'll be checking it later.
Thank you.
So for our assignment, we have, please get your notebook and copy this assignment. So for your assignment, simply analyze and solve. So we have a problem. A rocket is shot vertically from the ground. Its height at different times after the shot is recorded in the table below. So in this table, the times after the shot is recorded. So after this table, we have the following questions. So after the table, we have the question to be answered. So class, please copy your assignment. Are you done?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, and that is all for today. See you next meeting. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you po.